Well, well, well. If it's not the New York Gun Guys.
Yes, it is.
Back in action.
Back in action.
Wow, even this mic sounds... You know what? We have different mics today, guys.
Yeah. So this mic sounds a little different.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound terrible. It's
It
a
don't
little...
sound Taylor's actually using his older mic.
Yeah, that we used on our earlier
first
podcast
episodes, and I'm using a shitty... Basically, Taylor and I play instruments. And
in a band,
in a shitty band with the
well,
actually the intro song is actually one of the songs
from
the band.
Yeah,
and we have the Moaning Ghost as the lead singer. But I'm using not my normal mic, and I could totally hear the difference.
Yeah, I can.
Taylor's
too.
not using his normal mic, and he can tell the difference. But it is what it is, guys. The New York Gun Guys. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out Instagram, Facebook, and check out the other episodes on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and pretty much everywhere else at this point.
Yeah, man.
What do you have to say?
No, nothing.
You're still reading over there.
No, yeah,
he's reading things.
Listen. There's going to be a lot of fucking anger and frustration that comes out.
Yeah.
In this episode, it's just more useless bureaucratic nonsense.
Of course,
we're
going to talk about a law that was passed, and
this one was actually passed.
King Cuomo has finally lost his crown.
Yeah, he got dethroned for groping.
He got all Humpty Dumpty, fell.
He was trying to hump.
That was not intentional. On my part, at least.
Yeah.
But he did. He pulled the Humpty Dumpty, and all of his horses and all of his men cannot put him back together again. I just really love how
quickly the left turned on him. Like, nobody came to his defense.
Well, yeah. I mean, from what I've heard, he's not very well liked in general. I don't know,
man. A lot of the left was praising Cuomo, and
well, yeah, but I also heard from a political standpoint from other politicians that he's just a piece of shit.
He's not as progressive as some people think he is.
He's just a piece of shit.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Personality wise, I heard he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the guy personally.
No, this is only from what we've heard. Allegedly, he is.
Allegedly, he's a piece of shit.
Allegedly, he's a scumbag groper.
Well, no, he's
groomer. Well, I say allegedly. Listen, man,
he's definitely a groper. I think. I mean, at this point,
wants to be.
I mean, look, he was at the top, of the COVID shit. He was supposedly, every governor should have been like him. Yeah. He's now he's useless to the Democrats, and he's getting discarded. He also had all that shit. You had mentioned previously, and that everyone knows now, with killing all the olds, basically.
Yeah, covering up his aides. A lot of his top aides, covered up the amount of deaths, the numbers. They kind of fudged the numbers.
He was putting COVID-positive people in nursing homes, and then, right before, these people died, they would ship them off to hospitals, and then he'd be like, oh, well, they're not nursing home deaths. They were... they were hospitalized
deaths or whatever.
Deaths. Yeah, total bullshit. But he's being discarded now. And I think that I would like to believe that this is solely about the accusations that he was grabbing ass. But
trying to.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a convenient excuse now for the left, because they can't come out and say, oh, he fucked up with all the COVID shit, because he was being praised by everybody. Fauci said that. I mean, for God's sakes, people were calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Dude,
I know.
How do people get away with shit like that?
Well, that's what the left does. If they want you out, they call you a racist, they call you a sexist, they call you any name in the book to slander you. And then he had to try and I don't know if the guy's guilty or not, but then he had to obviously try to defend himself, and he really couldn't facing the overwhelling opposition to what, his accusations were. He
grabbed the ass, and the ass came to grab him back.
Just circled around. Wham.
So, I mean, he's not out yet. He's got 12 days left.
Yeah,
he gave himself 14 days. What the fuck?
I don't know, he gave the job 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, he gave. Yeah, I guess he gave us.
I gotta clean out my desk, and I gotta.
He gave us the 2 week notice.
Gotta train my replacement.
Yeah. Which I don't know anything about his replacement.
I have no idea. I know she's from Buffalo.
That's nice.
But she's going to be a new Democratic New York governor, and everyone's by the way, everyone was this historic moment, her first New York governor. I'm like, she wasn't elected. She's just taking his place.
I mean,
how historic is this? She's just put there.
I get
Nobody
I get what
voted
they're
for
I
her.
mean, I get what they're saying,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
the first female held position in the state
right,
or whatever.
which is great.
But I'm like, she wasn't voted in. Like,
No,
let's like stop giving everyone awards. You know what I mean? Like, just fucking
No, I
slow
mean,
your
it's
rolls.
look, is it a historic thing just because like sex wise she's the gender wise
Probably really
she's
good.
she's like the first
Yeah.
female, but yeah, I see what you're saying though.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't
calm
make
the fuck down.
yeah. I mean, congratulations to her.
Yeah.
It's it would be nice. Hope if she runs again and she gets elected, then that'd be fucking great for her.
It's just
And
like everyone was saying with Kamala, she was like the first, what was it, African American, first Indian American, first Caribbean American, first Asian American. I'm like, pick one, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah.
It's not that fucking hard.
Yeah. I mean, she was the first female vice president.
Yeah,
So
that's
I mean,
fine. Yeah.
Why can't we could say that too?
Yeah.
I mean,
They just want to try and
Right.
put you into these pigeonholes and try to, put everyone in these little camps of identity. And it's just like, shut the
identity
hell
politics.
up.
I mean, I'm happy for her that she's the first female. She's gonna be the first female governor, and I'm even though it's like for like a half a year, and I'm super happy for Kamala Harris that she's the first female vice president. That's
I have
awesome.
no issue with a woman being in a political position. I really don't.
Why would you?
I just don't like Kamala, and I just don't like most Democrats.
Well, yeah, you don't like her policy
Yeah.
positions. I mean, that's fine to not like,
Right.
So yeah, we are very glad here that King Cuomo has been dethroned, as you said.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he did get one more signature in before he was exiled.
Yeah.
From the world of New York politics, which, by the way, I have no doubt in my mind, give it 4 years, this man will be back running for public office. And it will be...
He's
oh,
gone.
no, absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not, dude.
I don't think so.
Why else would he resign?
Because he doesn't want the shit coming out in court because they just pile everything on him.
Don't matter. They already said they weren't going to recommend prosecution.
Of course not, because he's a fucking Democrat.
And they were never going to actually impeach him. I'm telling you. So he was under threat. What are you doing over there?
I'm looking for a pop filter because I feel like I'm like popping.
Why are you
I know,
right on
because
top of
if I
it?
go too far away, I feel like I won't be heard.
You'll
but
be
if I go
heard.
too close, it's like this.
Well, don't go that close.
Because I get a little excited when I talk, and I don't want people's eardrums to be blown out.
This is good for you. Maybe you can learn how to tone it down.
No.
Okay.
I'm the yang to your yin, man. Come on.
You ain't yanging anything. You do keep blowing right into it. Though.
I know.
What happened to the pop filter that was on there?
I have no idea, man.
There's one behind you, I think. You'll see it. It's sticking out. No, it's oh shit, I don't know where it is anymore.
All right, whatever.
All right, cool.
We're just gonna roll with it. Sorry, everyone. I'll step back from the microphone. Hopefully, you can still hear me. Maybe John can fix it in post.
No, I can't. There's no way I can fix it. Just talk normal. I mean, if you have a few, who cares? Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I forgot what was I saying about her.
I don't even fucking know. Something
right.
about
so
Cuomo,
there's no way he's definitely coming back. He's 100% he's coming back, dude.
he's gonna be raised from the dead.
Yeah, I mean, this will be forgotten about. Like I said, I think he could have stayed. He could have, and he would have risked the impeachment. And if he got impeached, he knows he could have never came back. But
He left the door open. You thinking?
Yeah, 100%. There's this guy's whole life is politics, dude. His dad was a politician. He's a politician. There's no way he will be
screw them
back.
both.
He will be back.
I'm just glad we could call it the Tappan Zee Bridge again.
I saw that they're pushing for that.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that would be
I still call it the Tappan Zee.
Dude, everybody does, and that would be the biggest fuck you.
Well, it was named after his dad.
He named it after.
Yeah,
his
I
dad.
know. I'm just getting it. It's like, imagine. I still call it the Tappan Zee. I've always called it the Tappan Zee. So whatever.
Yeah, well, everybody does.
New York shit.
And nobody calls it the fucking
Mario Cuomo Bridge.
Yeah, nobody does.
No. Where are you? I'm going over the Mario Cuomo Bridge.
No. Everyone goes, I'm going to the Tappan Zee. So, fuck out of here. So we're going to talk about, what is this? New York State Senate Bill 7196.
Yep.
If you guys didn't know this existed, now you do.
We've talked about it in the past.
I think we did for
very seldomly on this one because we talked a lot about the laws pertaining to manufacture of firearms, 80%, shit like that. This one was signed by Governor July 6th, so very recently.
This man squeaked out this last signature.
Squeaked out.
God damn.
Basically, what it does is, I'm going to read the little paragraph here. It relates to the dangers to the safety and health of the public caused by the sale, manufacturing, importing, and marketing of firearms.
Right.
Now, that sounds very broad.
Yeah. Basically, I guess the too lazy didn't read version of this is, or I guess to put it in layman's terms, is if you are somebody who's involved in the manufacture of firearms or the selling of firearms, you can now be prosecuted under state law,
and also in federal district court,
as well as you could be sued civilly, tort law. So yeah, I don't know. Let's dive into it a little bit here.
So one thing I want to read is justification, which really sets the tone for what these people think. And basically, they admit that the laws that they have don't work. They don't stem the flow of illegal guns into the state. They don't stop people from shooting one another. And they admit that it affects lower income, socioeconomically deprived communities that are mostly inhabited by persons of color, let's just say, African Americans, Latin Americans, whatever. I don't know the demographics, but so the justification says virtually every illegal firearm was once legal. Our country is awash with legal and illegal firearms, and the people are paying the price in money and misery.
Every illegal firearm was once legal because the Democrats keep making every fucking gun illegal.
Or criminals break the law with firearms that they don't give a shit about the laws.
Right.
Yeah. So people are paying the price in money and misery wrought by the illegal use of legal firearms. This unacceptable situation poses specific harm to New Yorkers based largely on their zip code and certain immutable characteristics such as race and ethnicity. Given the ease with which legal firearms flow into the illegal market, in spite of stringent state and local restrictions, and given the specific harm illegal firearm violence causes certain New Yorkers, those responsible for the sale, manufacture, importing, or marketing of firearms should be held liable for the public nuisance caused by such activities. This bill has been drafted to comport with the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act as construed by the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in City of New York versus Beretta USA Court. Through the PLCAA, the firearms industry is shielded from civil liability except when the basis for that liability is, quote, predicate statute that is applicable in the sale and marketing of firearms. With the passage of this bill, it is our hope that the right of the people to hold the firearms industry accountable will be restored.
Please.
Yeah, this is bullshit. And at one point, they even say in this that 74% of the guns that come into New York State that are recovered come from out of state illegally. So people are breaking federal
They're already
law.
breaking laws.
I know. So here, I'll read this little section here. Let's see. Illegal firearm violence has disproportionately affected underserved black and brown neighborhoods in our cities and throughout the state, despite stringent state and local laws against the illegal possession of firearms. While, according to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosive Statistics, 74% of firearms used in crime in New York are purchased outside of New York. Thus, the legislature further finds that given the ease at which legal firearms flow into the illegal market and given the specific harm illegal firearm violence causes certain New Yorkers, those responsible. Yeah, so they get into the same thing I just read. But that one fact, basically they say 74% of the guns that come into the state are illegally brought in from out of state, and that they mostly affect black and brown communities, from their own words. I said it a little more politically correct, but they use black and brown, so you know what? I'm going to go with that.
Right.
First of all, I think it's a cop-out to just say that, because crime happens in black and brown neighborhoods, we need to pass more laws. You know, people have been saying that for such a long time, like areas like Chicago, Baltimore, L.A., where now all of a sudden you give a crap that that people are shooting at one another and killing one another.
Speaking of Chicago, rest in peace.
yeah, that's really tragic news, man.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Traffic stop that she got fucking shot and her partner was.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
well,
terrible,
she was
man.
killed and her partner was shot and critical.
Is he?
Is
he still in ICU?
I think so. I didn't hear that.
I haven't heard anything.
Away.
Yeah.
And we're praying for him. But
yeah, that's tragic, man.
So last I heard, he got shot 3 times. He got hit 3 times, and he had one bullet was lodged in the back of his skull.
Yeah.
The other one made entry and exited through one of his eyes. It's amazing this man is even still fucking alive.
I know.
And then I think he took one in in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It is, and
we're trying to stay stay local.
Right, but it does need to be said that. We here do support law enforcement, despite sometimes, let's just say, my critique of the government, but the people that have to go and do the job, they have a job to do. And it's dangerous, and especially in places like Chicago or even some parts in New York, according to this article.
I mean, plenty of gun people support the police. I know a lot of gun people who absolutely do not support the police, but
they view the police as an arm of the state,
yeah,
which
of course.
infringes. And you know what? To some degree, there needs to be that boundary between police and persons, but it needs to be a respectful boundary.
Oh yeah.
Like I've said in the past, if you have a problem with the police, take it up with the police. If you have a
yeah,
problem with the government, take it up with the government.
Right.
That's the way it should be. But yeah, no, that's very tragic.
I only brought it up because
I know
you said
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, but so I mean, finally they're saying, oh, gun violence happens in black and brown communities. So what are we going to do? Pass more laws that aren't going to do jack shit because of all the laws we've passed aren't going to do jack shit, and they haven't done jack shit.
There's a big problem that this state passed. Big problem with the laws, and touching on maybe a touchy subject for some people is bail reform. I think that there was a need for bail reform up to a point, but I think that they went too far.
They did.
I think that they really went like the radical step. When you read the things like the crimes,
you sent me that list.
Yeah, I sent you.
We actually read a lot of it on the air.
I think
here
we
once.
did.
One of them that really struck me was it was sexual harassment with stalking or aggravated sexual harassment.
That one's bad.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, a lot of them are really bad, but one of them that really stuck out to me was having it was like possession of a weapon on school property.
Yeah.
Why are we, and you get no bail, which for people who don't know what that means, it means you basically get a court date and you have to return, to the court at whatever date it is.
Right. They're not going to
basically not holding you. So we're so concerned about this gun violence, and we're so concerned about mass shootings and school shootings get put on such a pedestal for and obviously they are the worst thing that could happen, right?
Right.
Children being
gunned
murdered
down, yeah.
But then why are we at the same time allowing people who get caught with guns on school property to just be released?
It's because people are apologists. The pendulum has swung so far the other way now.
Yeah.
To where now it's gone chaotic.
But how did that make?
I've sent you pictures of the cover. Whenever I'm at 7-Eleven and I see something relating to gun crime or whatever, right. I send you a picture of it. And one of them was like a guy that was out on bail 3 days before for the same shit.
Right.
Wound up shooting. It was just.
It's just amazing. How did that end up on the list? Right. And then you really have to think to yourself: is it was it on purpose? Do they want these people to just get out so they could do more crime, so they could push more law? I can understand where people's where they get their conspiracy theories from. It's the government wants this to happen, which
in order to enact more control.
Right, and some things it kind of seems when you start looking at it, it's damn, that's kind of weird,
Yeah, there's two camps of thoughts. One is that basically the government bowed down to the radicals and is basically saying, oh, we're not racist, so we'll let everyone go. The second one, which is a lot more sinister if you think about it, like you said, is that the government wants to instill, the government, I say police, bureaucratic, not police necessarily, but let's just say lawmakers, government, want to instill fear in the public. Politicians, government. They want to instill fear in the public, and the only way they can instill fear is to create boogeymen. Right. Oh, this guy was arrested for, stalking with a weapon. Oh, he's released now. You should be afraid. Don't go outside. You shouldn't go to this area. You can't do this for your own protection because these people are out there. All right, well, you're not locking them up, asshole.
Yeah. It's bad how many people just get released in this.
And you know what? Like you said, certain things I do feel that there should be bail. Why is somebody who has a minimal amount of, let's just say, marijuana on them?
It's not illegal anyway now.
No, I know it's not, but let's just say even before it was illegal. It's a decriminalized thing.
It's just straight legal now.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Even there were very the punishments for certain crimes were out of proportion. And now they're swinging back in the other direction, trying to kind of right the ship. But it's when you oversteer in a car, right? When you lose control of your car and you oversteer, and then you just fuck up more.
It's gonna flip,
right? So it's I think we've kind of approached that. And
they're predicating a lot of this on race, though. They're saying it's bail reform laws are racist because of the amount of, let's just say, I'm going to use the words that the state use, black and brown people that are in the correction system.
Yeah.
So they're saying it's racist because of all these people of color.
I don't know the statistics but people have said, and I have not fact checked this, but I have seen that that there have been some statistics that point to minorities get heavier bail, for example.
Yeah,
where like
I've seen that.
or they might get bail that's $100,000, but somebody who's white gets bail that's $50,000.
Right.
So, or they get a stiffer punishment.
Right.
Where if there was the same crime committed, there was like a kid not too long ago. Do you remember that wealthy white kid who
Brock
like
Turner?
raped?
Yeah, Brock Turner.
He like raped some girl,
and the judge didn't want to ruin his swimming career.
He got like no time.
I know.
And then you have like plenty. I mean, but you know what? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of white people as well who have done that, who have gotten punished. Yeah, obviously,
it's
rightfully so.
anecdotal to fit whatever narrative you want to push.
Yeah,
the criminal justice
But
system
here's
is
the
so
thing:
large.
like that's a real thing that happened,
It is.
right? Like that kid saw no jail time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know the specifics of his case and
Me neither.
whatnot, but I'm just saying that was a verdict that came down, right? I don't want to say I'm an expert in what happened with him, but that was a verdict that came down, and the judge decided we are not going to give him any jail time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's other people out there who have been
in similar
arrested,
situations,
who have been arrested for some sort of sex crime, and they were prosecuted, found guilty, and they were given a sentence. So
right.
why are we giving like it? Justice is supposed to be blind, right?
Yeah.
So why are some people getting a different sentence, especially basically
Yeah.
no sentence? It's fucked up, and I can see where people get jaded by that 100%.
Right. And like I said, though, the criminal justice system is so large, you could find any story and any conviction and any arrest that'll
Sure.
fit your narrative.
Sure, of course.
Whether it's
if it even if it like kind of just almost
Right.
fits.
Right.
If they have like they say like politics is all sound bites and
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
photo ops, and so it is what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. But you could find any story that fits your narrative. And, I have seen those stories and heard those comparisons. Like, this guy gets nothing, but this guy
Right.
gets the book thrown at
Right.
him. Why?
Right.
For the same crime. And
Right.
But, then why is that? Like, there needs to be
Right.
investigations into that. Justice
Right.
is supposed to be blind. I mean, they're different
And
courts,
there
they're
might
different
be
other
differences.
reasons, yeah.
Like
The
sure,
guy might have had a criminal history and
listen,
the other guy didn't.
At
You don't
face
know that.
value, all you have is crime A and crime A.
Right.
But what else? What are the circumstances of that crime as
Right.
well? And what's the history of that person?
Right.
Obviously, things like sex crimes are very sensitive
yeah.
to a lot of people, as they
Oh,
should
yeah.
be, especially what's going on with fucking Cuomo right now. But whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I'll be off on a little bit of a tangent there, but
Yeah.
I can see where people would be definitely jaded, and they look at things like that, and especially people who like don't know the case. They just
Right.
see that in the news and they go,
just see a
"Wow,
little
that's
news clip.
fucking racist."
Right. And that's
So-
what, unfortunately, this bill is based on. They say that gun crimes affects underserved black and brown communities more. And those crimes, I mean, it's true.
It is true.
It is. And
But why is that? I think is the real.
it
And
has to
I
do-
don't know.
Well, I watched a video once by Colleen Noir, and I'm no expert on this. Colleen Noir, like I've mentioned his videos in the past. He's an amazing guy. He's a lawyer. He's a 2A activist. He's an African-American gentleman. And he basically said, because he went out onto the streets of like Chicago and Baltimore and all these different places and asked people like, what the fuck's going on? It's a perceived socioeconomic injustice to where the people that live in these communities, like the bill said, are, quote, underserved. And they don't view any other option than to go out and commit crime and belong to some sort of culture because they don't feel like they're going anywhere in life. So this is their only option, to sell
Right.
crack or drugs or whatever, to initiate a gang lifestyle.
Or even I don't even know if it comes down to they don't think they can go anywhere else in life, but that they were born into that.
Right.
They've been surrounded by it their whole life, and it's just a natural progression.
Right.
It's kind of like if you're born and your dad's a mechanic, or your grandpa was a mechanic,
Right.
and your dad became a mechanic, and
And
you
you're
had a
just gonna
mechanic
be
shop,
in
and
that.
like you became a mechanic, or your dad owns a store,
Right.
and his dad owned the store, and his dad before him, and
Right.
so it's just a natural progression, right? Like you're just born into it. You could have done anything with your life,
Right.
but because you're surrounded by something, that's the path you take.
Right. And so
It's sad though.
Yeah,
It's-
it is. You're kind of born into it. That's all you see. That's all
Yeah.
you know. It's glorified. You give a kid a gun and suddenly he's powerful.
And you bring up the glorification of
Right.
it. There's a lot of times like these people in these communities who a lot of people like maybe the government or the police department see as bad guys, but not all of the community sees them as bad guys, and
Right.
some of the communities see those people as heroes.
They're kind of the anti-hero.
And when these people do, if they get killed by whoever, not saying the police,
Right.
but I'm just saying in general,
Rivals.
monuments get
Yeah.
they paint murals of them and things like that.
George Floyd.
Yeah, I mean that's like a big, that's a big name that
Right.
and that was like made a big deal because it was police. But even
Right.
if you have, gang violence and
Right.
people are killed, they paint murals of these
Yeah.
people because they're seen as heroes in their community, and they're being glorified. And now when a kid sees that, maybe they're influenced by that, and they go, "Oh, wow, I knew that guy."
It's like in the Islamic State when a martyr gets killed, they put him up on a billboard
Right.
somewhere, and then people are like, I want to be a suicide bomber. You know? And
I mean,
speaking of fucking Taliban rolling through Kabul and they're fucking evacuating the embassy like
Right.
Saigon right now.
Right.
Fucking good job, Afghan army.
Yeah. Well,
fucking Taliban's rolling through, taking back Afghanistan.
yeah.
Since we went into Afghanistan like early 2002, like after 9/11, like actually the end of 2001, and then we got sidetracked over in Iraq with Saddam. But it's been a war that's been going on for 20 years. I don't want to get too much into it. You could watch the news and see what's going on. But like literally today, like I'm watching the news go on. Oh, they're starting to evacuate the embassy. Oh, it's not a move of war or anything. They're shredding documents and taking flags with them.
We'll be back.
Wholeheartedly, because the Afghan army was fucking useless. And I joke around to my buddies at work. I say, yeah, the Afghan army's running away from a bunch of dude in flip-flops with AKs.
But it's not even like but here's the thing. The US goes in there and they want to invest time and
right. We spent like $1 trillion with over 5,000 people dead.
And then they tell
soldiers.
the people there, you're going to have our support. We're going to be here for you. And then they just leave.
Right.
You can't expect these people, you can't expect the Afghan army that does not have anywhere near the capabilities that we have to continue to fight a war. You just can't. And you have to also remember they were trained, quote unquote, but they were trained with the full backing of the U.S.
America.
Military, our
with
intel,
airstrikes,
our military might, power,
Yeah.
our intelligence community, everything. So whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
as
it's
soon as
just
we leave,
it's all fucked up.
Yeah, now the terrorists are taking over.
I want to get back to this. we could talk forever about that shit, man.
I know. Fucking A.
There's so getting back to this bill, they say that there's a couple things that they kind of point out, and the first thing is deceptive acts and or practices. That says it should have the same meaning as defined in Article 22A of this chapter, but I can't find that. I don't know if maybe you could look it up.
I don't know where to even look, man.
You have to look. The one right below that, all gun industry members who manufacture, market, import, offer for wholesale or retail sale any qualified product in New York State shall establish and utilize reasonable control and procedures to prevent its qualified products, meaning legal firearms, from being possessed, used, marketed, or sold unlawfully in New York State.
So that could be a couple of things. They have to make sure that their security systems are up to date, that the firearms are stored securely so that way nobody could steal them and then sell them to the black market. They have to make sure that they don't sell unknowingly to, let's just say, straw purchasers,
right,
or people who are prohibited possessors,
right?
Which
it's so difficult.
I know. How do you know someone's a straw purchaser?
Well, here's the thing. If they were to get sued in criminal court, they would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt
that they knew
that store knew that, the moaning ghost was going in to buy a gun for, our mutual friend Bill, for example.
Bill is not a prohibited possessor, by the way, so that is
He's not, but no one has to know Bill. Just like we just use Bill and the moaning ghost.
I know.
So they would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
In civil court, it's not the same.
Right.
Standard
they could just say whatever.
Well, they could say whatever, but there's still a level of proof. I think it's preponderance of the evidence. It's a lesser standard. Right. But so you could say
totality of the evidence, I think.
It's like totality of the circumstance and preponderance of the evidence. I don't know. I learned about it a long time ago. I don't deal in civil court, so
yeah.
But it's something to that effect. The important part to know is that it's not beyond a reasonable doubt, which means that you could lose a case in criminal court and still win the same exact case in civil court because the standard of proof is so much less.
Yeah, it's just going to basically put a target on the arms market. And like I said to John, there was companies that were advertising, let's just say AR-15s in a very self-defense or tactical light, let's just say on a commercial or something. Well, somebody could buy that gun, do something with it, and then in the state of New York, they could sue that gun manufacturer because in a marketing or advertising as a manufacturer, you sold somebody a military-grade weapon. That's highly irresponsible of you, and they went and shot up a school with it.
Who's to even say, like, what, how you interpret a
military
piece of, just a piece of marketing is like subjective.
I know.
Like, I could look at it and be like,
it's a good gun.
That would be a great gun for hunting. And then you could, like, let's say it's let's just say it's some sort of firearm with an optic on it, scope. And I look at it and I go, damn, like that gun would be perfect for deer hunting. And then like you look at it and you go, damn, that gun would be fucking perfect for sniping off of a fucking rooftop. But you know what I mean? So like you could look at it in two different ways, and then who's to say which way is the way?
Exactly.
So
it's wholly
subjective. How do you like put up a billboard with a firearm on it and not? You'd have to know as a gun manufacturer what every single person is thinking. It's impossible to know.
It puts a noose around the firearms industry's neck.
Oh, of course.
It puts a target on every gun retailer's back, and it makes the law-abiding citizen suddenly in the eyes of the public a nuisance, because this is what the bill is. They say it's a public nuisance. Firearms violence and stuff is a public nuisance.
Right.
And they're saying that anybody who deals in firearms is a potential contributor to this, quote,
they're
nuisance.
Responsible, basically, is what they're saying.
Which is, again, this is bullshit. Like, this is just wholeheartedly bullshit.
Right.
How about let's enforce the fucking laws we have?
So here's the thing, right? Let's kind of, we could tie this kind of into like Jerry's Firearms, right?
Oh.
So think about it this way, right?
Good point.
Gun manufacturer. What was the name of the company?
Delta Level Defense.
DLD. So let's say DLD manufactures this firearm, right?
Yeah.
They do their due diligence by selling that firearm to a lawful registered dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person sells the firearm, in this case, Jerry's Firearms sells the firearms, and now it's deemed illegal.
Right.
So that means not only is Jerry's Firearms, they
could be held liable,
they're held liable because they quote unquote sold an illegal firearm, but now the manufacturer DLD sold a firearm that can't be sold, so they are also liable because they did not have a good faith attempt to not prevent. You know what I'm saying? To not prevent that gun being sold.
It could go to multi-state.
All the way
it could go.
back.
Yeah. It really.
This is a specific. That's a specific case.
As far as I know, nobody committed a crime with the Delta Level Defense CT-2A or whatever it is.
But it's still an illegal firearm.
It is. Well, the county thinks
correct.
it is.
As far as that,
as what the state or the county
as far as a lawsuit is concerned,
yeah,
it's an illegal firearm in the eyes of Suffolk County as of now.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying, right? So
bullshit.
So DLD did not do their due diligence to prevent the sell. Obviously, we all know it's all bullshit.
Sure.
But if you look at it through this law, they didn't do their due diligence selling to Jerry's because Jerry's ended up selling illegal. It's illegal, quote unquote, illegal in this state, right? So it's bullshit, and it can go deep.
I know. They could even find the guy who supplied the metal for them and fucking say, well,
yeah,
they want to have a block of metal now be illegal in New York as an unfinished firearm. Oh, also, speaking of, there was actually the ATF handed out a cease and desist to a manufacturer of a trigger. Dude, you got to look up this trigger. I never heard of this thing. It was so cool. It's the rare breed FR15 trigger. Basically what it is, it's a force reset trigger. And they've been selling it for a while now, apparently for like maybe a year or two. And what it is, it's a drop-in trigger unit and for like an AR type gun. And what it does is when the bolt carrier comes home, it has in the place where an auto sear is, it resets the trigger for you. So you know how like a bump stock works? You basically pull the gun forward. Yep. This is kind of like a reverse of that, to where this trigger resets for you, but then you actually have to pull it again. So as defined by, they thought it was legal, ahead of time, which it still is. They're actually suing the ATF because it's still one function of the trigger. A machine gun is defined as a gun that does more than one thing per function of the trigger.
Right.
This has one pull of the trigger, but the trigger resets itself so you don't have to release it.
The rare breed FR15. Rare breed FR15.
Bro, you got to look at a video of it. It's basically, and it's like a bump trigger in a weird way.
Right.
But if you look at slow motion of the trigger, it resets and then your finger pulls it. It resets and your finger pulls it.
Right.
The company claims that rate of fire is not a determinant for what makes a machine gun. So, you're getting the audio? Bro, it's so
I'm listening.
good.
Keep going.
Yeah, so the rate of fire doesn't determine a machine gun. You could have a Maxim gun set to like 20 rounds a minute and just go chunk, 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 or whatever it is. It could go really, really slow. But you could also have a semi-automatic gun with a race trigger in it that you could pull really fast. So the rate of fire does not determine if something's a machine gun or not. And that's what Rare Breed is trying to tell the ATF. So John's fiddling with something over there.
So if you hear anything that's like a little wonky, it's because we had a little bit of a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
But this is the
The trigger.
Yeah, this is just I don't even know whose video this is.
Lower the volume a little bit.
Ordinary citizen function test. Whoop.
Okay, so this morning I installed a Rare Breed trigger in my AR, and I'm here function testing it to see if it runs with my gas system, my buffer, because I haven't changed anything, and just put a few rounds on target and see if she runs.
I mean, dude, it doesn't even look like he's. I'm gonna be real. It doesn't even look like he's pulling the trigger more than once.
If you look at a slow-mo video of it, it actually is.
He said it's kind of hard to shoot just one round.
Yeah. You really can. I mean, you can.
Does the trigger resets, and then you have to pull it again?
So basically, you apply constant weight to the trigger, and it resets. But since you're applying a constant weight, it pulls itself. Well, you pull it automatically, basically.
So the trigger like becomes really light, basically.
No, it doesn't come really light. It just so you're applying like if you ever bump stock a gun, you keep forward pressure on the gun while you're pulling the trigger back, and when the gun rocks in your hand, your finger pulls the trigger. It's kind of the same concept with this, where except the gun, you keep constant pressure on the trigger, and the trigger pushes back on your finger, but because you're keeping constant pressure, your finger pushes it again. So every time, I'm going to send this to you, I'm going to send this video to you, John. This one I think is one I watched the other day. How do I send it to you?
Social media wise.
Okay, social media? I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one's from Big Daddy Unlimited, Big Daddy Unlimited's YouTube page. It's like a wholesaler of firearms and shit like that. But I think this video, they really get into firing it, and they kind of explain a little bit about it.
I'm going to kind of scroll through a little bit.
But this is something now that people are saying the ATF is determining that basically trying to make law.
Trigger, it is a semi-auto trigger. It's a drop-in trigger.
Yeah, just take a listen.
As long as, with our counsel, as long as other subject matter experts and attorneys, this is a 100% legal semi-auto trigger. There's no other select on the selector switch. It is either semi or safe, just like any other AR-15. Also, note that it only works in your standard AR-15 lowers. It doesn't work in an MPX,
AR-9,
AR-9s.
AR-10, any other obscure rifle that you may have. You also want to make sure you're running an H3 buffer.
You got to have a heavy buffer in it.
Best functionality. Depending on your gun's gas system and tuning, it may work with something like an H2, but recommended and for most reliable, you do want an H3 buffer, and you do have to have an M16 bolt carrier group.
Yes.
Just the way it's designed, that full auto bolt carrier group is required for the trigger to function.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you have a standard spring on the H3 buffer. Don't change the spring on that. And also, what he means by the full mil-spec buffer is if you get one of the high-speed cut-out ones, then it's not going to allow to hit.
Basically, in this video, it's from Big Daddy Unlimited. They kind of go into it, but John's going to see if maybe he can fast forward to them shooting. I think they shoot in this video. That's why it's kind of like after I heard the determination. I think I saw it on like the Truth About Guns blog.
They shoot right over here somewhere.
Yeah, let's take a listen. With some fucking Judith in the background.
Dude, there's no, man. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. You hear that, people? The sound of freedom.
You guys we're going to link this. We have to link this video.
Yeah. And great choice of music.
This is by who's the...
It's Big Daddy Unlimited.
Yeah, Big Daddy Unlimited. Hat tip to you. We are borrowing the sound from you. We're not making any money off this, so don't worry. You're not missing out on any cash.
Don't sue us.
Ain't no one going to sue us. You know what? If you're listening to this, you should totally call in and talk to us. We would love to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
But this thing is fucking cool.
Yeah, but basically what it does is it's like bump fire, like I said, but the trigger resets. And the problem the ATF
hard to explain, though.
Well, not really, because, like I said, if you bump fire, you're pulling the trigger each time, but the gun is firing just very fast.
Right.
Cyclic rate does not determine what a machine gun is. The ATF's definition says one function of a trigger: pull, release, pull, release.
Right.
Just like a binary trigger. That's one function. A pull is one function and a release is one function. So that's how the binary triggers got around it. The letter that the company sent back to the ATF, their lawyer basically said, like, did you even, like, examine the trigger? Like, we want to see the reports.
Why does your mic sound
I
like
have
that?
no idea, man. I think it's, like, vibrating.
Yeah.
The lawyer was like, I don't know why the fuck it sounded like that. Anyway,
I don't know.
the lawyer was like, we want to see the report.
Technology does not like you
Jesus
today.
Christ.
This
They want to see the report, the testing that was done. They're like, did you just watch a YouTube video on it and
Yes.
determine it was a machine gun based off that?
100%.
Watch, if you ever, there's slow-mo video of it out there. Watch a slow-mo. The trigger resets. Oh, shit. Bro.
Dude, every video is like way too loud.
I know. But I like
We'll-
that.
we'll fix
I like
that.
that video that you just playing. Had a good soundtrack.
Well, this is like this video is from Rare Breed's website.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like actually like I think it's got like a little
Freeze frame or something?
no, it's like a animation of how it works. I want to see, but I'll keep it muted. These guys are just unloading. It looks fucking cool as hell, dude. They're just like out on a field shooting at cars and steel. Oh my god!
Yeah, I know. It's the
I
dream.
love shooting steel.
Yeah.
We need to go somewhere where we could just shoot steel.
I know.
Where
That would be
where
fun.
could we do that?
I have no idea, man.
God damn.
But yeah, this trigger, people, they're still for sale. Even though the ATF has said they're machine guns, which the company is still selling them. Like, if you go to their website, they're still for
Yeah.
sale.
Well, they're
I
gonna
mean,
become
listen,
the new Jerry.
they released a thing. The lawyer sent them like a thing for, I think, preliminary injunction or whatever, or like they want to see the results of the testing. Like, they want to see all the
Of
technical.
course.
But the lawyer doesn't even. I've read that it's like a 3-page thing that the lawyer sent them. The lawyer doesn't even think that like the ATF did any testing. So
No, I doubt that they.
Yeah.
I doubt that they did.
So it's just something they saw online. They're like, oh, we have to ban it. And then there was also, they said that there was another forced reset trigger that's been on the market for years that the ATF has not determined it's a machine gun. So why is theirs? But it's one function of the trigger.
It says the Rare Breed's trigger FRT15 is a forced reset trigger. When a trigger is pulled, the FRT15 trigger's sear forces the trigger to reset. So
Right.
it resets.
It pushes it, yeah.
Right. The trigger dramatically speeds up the rate of fire of an AR-15 style firearm. A machine gun is a gun just goes into the
Yeah, the definition of it.
right.
Yeah, which everyone knows what a machine gun is. One pull of the trigger, multiple rounds expended. This, even though it's very fast, the trigger is just being pulled very fast.
Right.
So listen, ATF, you got caught, right? And now you're trying to be like, oh, you can't have this.
This just, this really, man, this just even pushes. I always think this, that these laws all they do is that
they create workarounds and then they get pissed off.
It creates innovation.
Yeah.
Like
It's great.
If they never, it's great for us, but if they never pushed like all the bullshit,
Right,
no one would ever have a need for this, and they
No.
would never do it. You would have bump stocks, and some people would be able to use them, and some people wouldn't because sometimes they're difficult to use. But no, now we have this, which seems incredibly simple to use. These guys are running around a field, just pop, 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 pop,
Well, like you
it's
said, you got to
amazing.
have the right weight buffer in your gun because that helps the speed.
Yeah, there's
of the
technical
bolt
there's
carrier.
technical things that come with it, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think, if the government still allowed people to register machine guns, then you wouldn't have these fucking problems.
Yeah,
most
wouldn't-
people want to be
right.
legal. If they find fucking Grandpappy's MP40 in the
Right.
they want to register it, but no.
I mean, if we were just still allowed to manufacture machine guns and own them as civilians,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have
No.
I mean, we wouldn't have a need for bump stocks.
Right. No. Except, just pay you $200, wait 6 to 8 months, and then you could have your M16.
Right.
It wouldn't be such a big fucking deal, and an M16 wouldn't cost $30,000 on the transferable
I don't think
market.
that there would be any more gun violence.
I don't think there'd be any more because it would still be illegal to have and use if you use it
I
illegally.
just don't think, because I don't think that that's the defining factor in someone who's, oh, you know what? I was going to go shoot up a mall, but because my gun doesn't fire full auto, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like that logic isn't there, right? Like if you're fucking insane and you're going to just go kill people in a mall,
Right.
that's not the deciding factor. It's not, oh, I can't get an AR, so I can't do it. So that doesn't make any sense either. Like I'll just use a handgun or I'll
Right.
just use a shotgun. Like
Right.
it just doesn't make fucking any sense.
Right.
So like that's not really a defining factor. So like the fact that it's even illegal in the first place kind of really doesn't make sense to me.
It's just bureaucrats being bureaucrats,
Yeah.
man. And, unfortunately, the NRA did help pass the Hughes Amendment in '86 to ban the new manufacture of machine guns for civilians.
Right.
So, and it was also done during the Reagan administration too, which everyone says Ronald Reagan is this great bastion of conservatism. You know, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. You know, whatever.
I saw a funny video where it was like great moments in like history,
Yeah.
like historic speeches by presidents.
Oh, is it the one where a balloon popped and he's
No,
like,
no, no,
almost
it's
got
like-
me?
No. There was like that quote.
Yeah.
There was like another quote from like somebody, and then like at the end it was Biden. He was just like, you know the thing. Like, I gotta
Fucking
find
bumbling
it,
idiot.
dude. It was so
Oh my
funny.
God. I listen to Obama speak, man, and I'm like, dude, Obama even looks like a moderate compared to this senile old fuck. Like, Biden, man, just go home, bro. You done. You fucking done.
Right.
Just hang up the hat, bro. You've been in this shit. You've been in this shit so long. You said the words racial jungle and it was okay. That's how long you've been in this
my
shit.
God,
You
yeah.
probably drank from the other water fountain, if you know what I mean, in a fucking park.
I mean, the guy's sick. I'm not saying opinions can't change. I'm not.
No,
I
I'm not saying
definitely-
opinions can't
I
change,
don't-
but that's how long he's been a politician.
Yeah, it's
so
fucking
where
crazy.
at one point it was okay to say things like that in fucking government,
Yeah.
and then now obviously it's not.
It's
It shouldn't
fuck-
have been.
it should've
But
never
that's
been
how long
okay,
he's
right.
been in this fucking cesspool of shit.
It really is a cesspool of shit.
Really is, bro. So I just, man, I talk with my dad about this shit a lot. Like,
Yeah, but your dad like turned into a fucking.
he did. And I try to tell him about this whole COVID shit that, like, it's just government overreach, that look at what the government is doing. Once they get power, they're not going to get it back. You know, everything I fucking always say. But he's just, you know, he's just like, oh, if you're not breaking the law, then you don't have anything to worry about. I'm like, and I said something to him, like, Dad, what if they change the laws to where suddenly now you're a criminal? They could just rewrite the laws to where anybody who's
Right.
not vaccinated could get put in jail.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
And he probably goes, they won't do that.
Yeah.
But now they're firing people.
And I
over
told
that,
him about the gun laws. I'm like, you know, one day things were legal, the next day it's not.
Right.
They could change the laws any way they want.
Right.
Once government does something, they don't give power back, bro.
No.
So, and this is what I tried to tell him. I had a long talk with him actually when I was sitting on the Cross Bronx in fucking Travis.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was pissed off anyway. But you know, I tried telling him that, like,
I'm pissed off. I'll call my dad and be more pissed off.
well, no, my pops actually called me,
Oh,
and then
okay.
we just wound up talking about it just
Yeah.
because of some, you know, bullshit. We didn't
Yeah.
have arguments. I just really want him to see why I think the way I do.
Right.
You know, and he gets it. He's like, you know, you're smart. You do your research. You have your opinions, but I just think differently than you. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
but,
there's things that you and I don't agree on.
oh God, no.
So who cares? It's okay. It's okay to disagree.
Oh, I know.
And that's like we've become so lost, you know, as like a community of just like Americans.
I
You know,
know.
it's like if someone just doesn't have if someone like disagrees with you at like a basic level, it's
Yeah.
like you can't even talk to each other. You know, there's people that I was friends with who were like
Yeah.
that, and
I
it was like,
know.
well, if we have a different opinion, then that's it. Like you're X, Y, and Z. Like you know, the name calling starts, and it's
Yeah.
just when I just like, you know what, I just
Even amongst
I'm
gun
not
owners,
friends with you anymore. It's it, man.
like even amongst gun owners, man, there's people that like, you know, like the FUDs, and then like the Hawaiian shirt wearing dudes, and like the tactical elitists. Like there's so much fucking division, and nothing I hate more is when a FUD says like, I support the Second Amendment, but, or when anybody says that, like when Kamala Harris says, I support the Second Amendment, but X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. It's like, no, then you don't.
Well, I work
it's
with
either you do or you don't.
yeah. There's a couple people I work with who are like, yeah, I totally support like your right to have a firearm, but I just don't think
But-
anybody should need like no one needs like a 30-round mag, and it's like,
Well, that's your
what?
opinion, asshole. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what's it to you? And then when Biden was saying like, oh, people can't own tanks or whatever, it's like, yeah, they can. It's fucking America. I watch videos all the time of like private tank collections, even in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like Battlefield Vegas. They think they have like one of the only operating. It's a Soviet. What is it? A T-68 or a T-62? It's the only one operating in the U.S. with a live fire gun. And I'm like, you could have a fucking tank. You just got to have a lot of money.
Right.
But you can have a fucking tank. What's wrong with that?
Right.
So Biden, you know, he thinks that people can't own, you know, military aircraft or tanks or anything because they have nukes and F-15s and whatever. But, you know, people can.
Well, what's stopping you from buying like an Apache helicopter?
Actually, really nothing.
Right.
You just have to find one for sale. There's actually a
Can you
government.
buy one straight
Yeah.
from the manufacturer?
Not from the manufacturer, no. Generally, like there's
Is it
like
because it's considered like military?
Yeah. you can. So, for example, actually on a government surplus website I saw recently, there was a Black Hawk on there for like $500,000, I think, starting bid.
Yeah.
Starting bid. But people buy them, and actually companies buy those kind of helicopters. Like I work in aviation. People buy those kind of helicopters. They use them for like heavy lift. They use them for like firefighting, like a private firefighting company. They use them for transport. You know, I worked with at one point we had this S61, a Sikorsky S61, and they used it to lift air conditioners and big heavy equipment on top of like skyscrapers.
Could you buy like a fucking battleship if you wanted to?
They used to sell surplus like PT boats back in the day and like naval ships.
No, because like there's guys out there now with like plenty of money to be able to buy just like a fucking like an old battleship.
Yeah, you can.
And then just like that's amazing.
The one thing on it though is that the guns would have to be registered as destructive devices
Or disabled.
Yeah,
Right.
People back in the day, bro, after like Vietnam and World War II and stuff, like they bought like PT boats and turned them into fishing boats.
Right.
So you can, you know,
Right.
Government surplus used to not be a big deal. How do you think people got P-51 fighters?
Right.
After World War II, they sold them as surplus.
Yeah.
So I mean, the same shit.
I agree 100%. I don't see a problem with it.
No. And you know what? If you want to go through the process of rearming the guns and registering them, fuck it, why not?
Well, that's the whole thing. Like the process of it and the cost of it, it weighs away the people who would do bad.
There's people there's a guy that I follow on Instagram. He specializes in M60 machine guns, and he is rebuilding a Huey. He got a Huey, and he's rebuilding it in order to do reenactments and historical, like put the M60s on the door. And he takes Vietnam vets shooting the M60s, and they're like, I haven't held this gun since I was in fucking Saigon or whatever the fuck it was. And they bring out vets, and they're gonna get the helicopter operational. Yeah, man,
pretty cool.
So I mean, listen,
I would just love to see like one of these like mega rich guys just like buy like a fucking old battleship and like just make it totally functional.
There's a guy. He's the largest owner. He's the owner of the largest fleet of military aircraft in the country. I think he's based out of Texas, and what he does is his company provides combat training for the U.S. or like a contractor. So let's just say the Navy wants to train guys on a MiG-27 or a MiG-29. This guy has a MiG, I think it's a MiG-27 or MiG-29, and he'll be the enemy aircraft as a contractor, and the government, will have to chase him, and it saves the government money because they don't have to keep these foreign fucking aircrafts. He bought all of Australia's F-16s that they were surplusing out.
Right.
He bought them. So he has a fleet of F-16s, L-39s. He has I think a MiG-27 or a MiG-29. I think it's a 27. But he has a fucking Air Force, basically.
Right.
This guy has a fucking Air Force. So it's kind of like you said about a battleship.
Right.
This guy has a fucking Air Force, and he has
so
retired pilots that, military guys that fly them. Yeah.
That's fucking so
cool. Yeah, and he has DOD contracts, and he has all the licensing and all the guns work and everything. But this guy is a fucking bajillionaire.
Dude, because of that, though.
Yeah.
Because of that business.
Well, he was also rich before that, but I mean, this guy bought F-16s from Australia.
Right.
You can do that if you have the licensing, the paperwork, and everything.
So cool, man.
People, the
United States is such a fucking cool place to live.
It is, but people fucking shit on it constantly.
Well, because some people would hear that and be like, that should never be allowed. Right. Only the military should ever. That's like the most dangerous thing you can say, right? Yeah. Is only the military
only
should have.
Only the government should have this. Only the military should have this.
That's fucking scary.
Well, historically speaking, governments fucking murder and oppress their people more than ordinary citizens do.
Right.
So, I mean, it's crazy when you look into like what people have. Like, there's companies in Eastern Europe that'll sell you a demilitarized tank or armored personnel vehicle, and it's
I feel like they just over there they just sell that shit for fun.
Well, they do because there's a surplus of it. Actually, in England, there's a huge collecting community of military vehicles because so many of them were left there after the war.
Yeah.
Same thing in Europe.
Right.
I mean, we're lucky here in America to where we never had a fucking world war on our fucking soil.
Any war, really, like.
Well, we had the Civil War.
Well, I mean, in our
Revolution.
in our lifetime, you could still go dig shit up out of the ground from fucking, Civil War and Revolutionary
I mean, we
War
had Pearl
shit.
Harbor, but I mean, listen, we were attacked. We were attacked.
We
weren't.
There was like never like a modern war.
Infantry invasion.
Yeah, exactly. I guess it's kind of what I'm getting at, right?
But other countries, there are people in England still finding fucking unexploded ordnance in their front yard when they're digging it up for a walkway.
Dude, when people find like fucking the mines in the ocean, like the fucking
the sea
deep
mines,
sea. Oh my god. That's scary, bro. That is scary.
Yeah. And even around in the U.S.
Just side note, dude, my grandpa, he used to tell me this story about, like, out in Montauk, they, like, back in the day, I guess, during World War II, they laid a lot of fucking, like, old school mines. And he used to always fuck with us, being like, I think I see one.
fucked up, bro.
It is, and he would like be driving right for
Oh
it.
my God.
But he would tell us, and he'd be like, "I hope we don't hit one." We were like kids, and we don't fucking know. Man, I miss him. He
technically,
passed
the
away.
Nazis did land on Long Island during the war.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
It's a
right.
little known thing. They had
Yeah,
a couple of guys and some Coast Guard men saw them on the beach, and they were supposed to be saboteurs that were supposed to come to the U.S. and start sabotage, basically. And they
Right.
got caught because one guy was like, "What are you doing here?" And it was just like this crazy thing. I think a couple of people got away, but like one guy got caught. And it was just like he was like
I
trying to
heard
bury
that.
his outfit in the beach or some shit. Just the Coast Guardsmen saw him. And
Yeah.
it's wild.
God
man.
bless the Coast Guard.
Yeah, man, for real. It's it's a wild world. But yeah, man. So I feel like we went on so many different directions.
There's not
with
much.
this episode.
There's not much more to talk about.
more to talk
But
about with that
at
bill.
the end of the day, like it's past. That's the end of it.
It's not going to affect, and I hate when I have to say this, but it's not going to affect people like you and I.
Yeah.
But it's just another thing that the fucking government
I
does.
always say it's not. Is this likely to affect you? And you always give me shit for it, but
you know what? I do, but because for good reason. Because this kind of shit is the thing that they could pass, which lays the foundation for more shit.
Oh, I agree.
When in this law they said that our laws are ineffective, so we need to pass this law. When they pass this law, suing gun manufacturers isn't enough because the federal level won't allow it or whatever, or it gets thrown out.
Well, no. Where this could go is because this only targets gun industry members, but what about people like you, for example, right? What if someone breaks into your house, steals
a
a
gun
firearm,
and does something illegal
and
with
then whatever, then they want to sue you, or they pass a law that says, well, you didn't properly store your firearm.
Right.
Never mind the fact that someone broke into your house,
Right.
a fucking criminal,
Right.
found your firearm and stole it, and then went and killed somebody.
Right.
It's your fault because you didn't
Right.
store your firearm in a safe with a certain weight class.
Yeah.
And, like that's where this could go.
I
That's
know.
where this could open.
And I
that
could
could
be
open the door.
sued, and it's just like, well, how about the guy that fucking shot the guy?
Right.
Sue him.
Right.
Give me back my fucking gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I know. But, also, one thing I wanted to do really quick was I wanted to give a shout out to a particular listener of ours. This guy.
Just the guy you've been like messaging.
Yeah,
I think there was like a message that he hadn't sent or
Yeah,
that
no,
you didn't read.
I read it.
Okay, cool.
I replied back. But I'm trying to switch over to the switch accounts. Here we go. He messaged us saying how he really enjoys listening to our podcast when he's on the road. He does a lot of driving. He's not even from New York, and that's the thing that got me was that he says he's located in Illinois. Daniel, shout out. How you doing? It's Taylor, John.
Hey, what's up?
But he
Thanks
sent
for
us
listening.
pictures. He got into us because he listened to our M1 episode. And that was just an episode that wasn't necessarily New York specific, but it was about M1s. And he wanted to get an M1 or he was getting one or something.
He ended up getting them. Right?
Yeah. He sent me a picture
Very
of it. Really cool gun. And he was looking to get a couple other guns from a friend of his. So I sent him some information about how to clean it and detail strip it or whatever. So I hope he finds that useful. But yeah, man, I mean, even people in New York, we're kind of like universal in some aspects. A lot of time we're very New York specific, but for certain things, anybody can listen to us and hopefully find some enjoyment.
I mean, it's a gun podcast with a focus on like New York State bullshit. I mean,
Right.
At the end of the day, gun things appeal to a lot of people across the country, but when we
And-
talk about like this bullshit law, like obviously this is, and you know what? I like to think that there's some people in other states who they listen to this and they just feel bad for us.
Yeah, they're sitting there holding their M16 like, oh, those poor fucks up in
Yep.
New York.
Yep.
I don't want
It's
none of that
true.
New York City salsa.
Oh God. Yeah, it's true, man.
I
Like
know.
the laws are getting worse and worse.
It really is, and it's hurting the law abiding because
And once these things are passed, it's like
they're not going
They
away.
never go away.
No.
That's it.
Even when Trump was in office, he didn't repeal any gun control laws. He actually added gun control laws. He allowed the bump stock ban to go
yes,
through.
I know.
He
You
didn't.
were very you were very up on him about that.
Well, listen, you got to take people to task. He ran as a very pro-gun candidate. He was endorsed by the NRA and all these people. We thought, maybe we'll get concealed carry reciprocity passed. Maybe we'll get the Hearing Protection Act
Okay, but
passed.
here's the thing, right? So there was the Mandalay Bay shooting,
Right,
That
happened.
utilized the bump stocks.
Yeah.
But what else did it utilize? High capacity magazines,
Yeah.
and it utilized, AR-15 style
Right.
rifles. But ultimately, what was the thing that got banned?
Bump stocks.
Yeah, it's the less of all the evils.
I just think that it shouldn't have been.
I
at
agree.
all.
I agree. But would you rather a federal ban on 30-round magazines?
It wouldn't have passed.
Would you rather that?
No.
Okay.
But I'm just saying it
Would
wouldn't
you
have passed.
rather? Okay.
Well, I mean, it doesn't
I'm just-
affect us here in New
I'm
York,
just,
but
I'm
what
just
I'm
saying.
getting
I'm
at
just
is-
saying to you. Would you rather that? Would you? Let's just say in a world
Like
where
these
it passed.
fucking questions.
No.
It's like, would you rather, kiss a dude or?
Oh, I know what you would pick.
No.
But that's not the point. The point is, let's just say, in a world where it passed, what would you prefer? Obviously, everyone would prefer the bump stock. If you had to pick one, that was...
You're giving
was like,
inches at that point.
Yeah.
And then now it allows for
But
shit
you know
like
what?
this trigger to be deemed a machine gun, or in the fucking past, the ATF determined a shoestring was a fucking machine gun.
Yeah.
It's
But
just,
you know
when's
what
it gonna
the thing,
stop, man?
dude? It was the sacrificial lamb, and that was it.
I like lamb, and I don't want it to be sacrificed. I want it to be eaten justly.
Yum.
Yum. But anyway.
All right, guys. I think that's all we got time for today. We're approaching... Oh, we're a little over an hour.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So, well, there's going to be some stuff cut out because
just
Taylor
technical
fucked it all
shit.
up.
Oh, don't even give me that shit.
No one's even going to know because they're just going to hear
John's
this.
sitting across from me with the laptop. Fucking guy.
We appreciate everybody tuning in. It was a really big deal to set this one up because Taylor and his wife had, like, she went to go pick somebody up or something like that from somewhere, and so it was like not last minute, but like shit got changed around. So we're here for you guys. We're really trying to get back to that one a week.
Yeah, as best we
even
can.
though life is like totally crawling right up our caboose.
Oh yeah.
But a life is grabbing us in the fanny, just like Cuomo.
Don't say fanny.
Do you hate that word?
Ugh.
Oh, yes.
What are you, an 80-year-old nun?
Now I know you don't like it.
Ugh. It's not that I don't like it, but I'm like, dude, I would call you a certain word right now that I'm not going to say on mic.
I hope not.
Good.
Okay,
That's my line.
Okay, I won't say fanny anymore.
Thank you.
Don't go grabbing fannies like Taylor.
Ugh.
And we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Don't go grabbing my whoopee.
What the hell is a whoopee?
I don't know, pussy. I don't know.
All right. You're so... There's something wrong with you, man. I tell you all the time there's something wrong with you. But guys, check us out on Instagram and Facebook, NYGunGuys, and check out the other episodes on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and anywhere else you can find a podcast. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. And as always, stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Family.